speaker, Dr. Arjun. Right here, Dr. Arjun is going to share with us his experience. I'm not going to explain and introduce himself. He's going to introduce himself about the experience, right, and the
Yeah,
background. So I'll leave this section to Dr. Arjun, please. Dr.
sure.
Arjun, the
Yeah,
section is yours.
yeah. Thank you, sir. So, good morning, all. Nice to meet you all today through this lecture series on technopreneurship. I also wanted to thank the UTHM College Management and Prof. TKN Sek to again give me this wonderful opportunity to share my knowledge and experiences to all of you through this lecture series. So I think this is my probably third or fourth lecture series I'm delivering to the UTHM students. So in this lecture series, we will have four lectures, and I kind of promote this lecture series as like a series on technopreneurship. So all of the four sessions will be focusing on technopreneurship. So the ultimate aim for me to deliver this lecture series is to kind of make you start thinking about entrepreneurship, technopreneurship in general, and also wanted to put a small seed in your minds which can make you grow as an entrepreneur and a technopreneur in the future. So I wanted to like give this lecture series so that you can start to think about how you can convert your IDP project that you are doing into something like a startup venture. So that is how I kind of structure my all of these four lecture series. And today is the first of this lecture series where we will be seeing about design thinking 101. So let's get into the session. So before we get into the session, a little bit of background about myself. So myself, Dr. Arjun. I have around 10 years of academic and industry experience in electrical and electronic engineering. Of course, I completed my master's and PhD in integrated circuit design from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, and Technical University of Munich, Germany, where my PhD was also sponsored by NXP Semiconductors. So during my PhD and masters, I was working on developing low power integrated circuits for energy harvesting applications and biomedical implant applications. And after completing my PhD, I got an opportunity to start up my own venture, which was called as Sepsitron. So I secured a pre-seed investment of around 250,000 US dollars from a couple of venture capital investors like Entrepreneur First Hacks. You can see their logos as well here. So once I got the pre-seed investment, I started up my own venture called as Sepsitron, where I was developing low cost infectious disease diagnostic solutions. So I was developing a lab on a chip platform system which can identify infectious diseases like 50 times faster at 10 times lower cost than the existing conventional technologies. And then I ran my startup for around 3 to 4 years. And then I decided to like move into industry again. And then I joined iCana 2 years before, which is a RF semiconductor company where I'm currently working as a product manager and driving all the new product development, new product introduction initiatives of the company and managing all of the products that the company develops at this moment. So this is a very brief introduction about myself. Of course, if you want to like know more about myself, like I would be happy to share if anyone has any specific questions. So let's get into today's topic. Uh, so as I said before, I wanted to like structure this entire lecture series into something like a lecture series on technopreneurship, where I wanted to like share my entrepreneurship experiences and my knowledge on entrepreneurship and how I went about starting up a new company, how I went about securing some investment to start up my company. So I wanted to like share all of these experiences. So the very first thing that I want to like share with you is like, first of all, what is entrepreneurship and who is an entrepreneur? So you may be thinking about, okay, entrepreneurship, like these words are something looking like a fancy term, and maybe like you maybe thinking about what entrepreneurship really means, or who is an entrepreneur, maybe you will be thinking about whether we need to study something, whether we need to do a MBA, or whether we need to get into a business school if we want to become an entrepreneur, or if we want to pursue entrepreneurship. And I want to share that you don't need any sort of formal education, you don't need any sort of formal training to become an entrepreneur. In my opinion, everyone are like a born entrepreneurs. Everyone has those skill sets, everyone has those entrepreneurship skill sets. It is up to us whether we are using those skill sets or not using those skill sets, and whether we are using those skill sets to start up our own business, or whether we are using these skill sets in another company to as an employee. So we all have these skill sets, right? So as engineers, we all love to listen and read new things. We all love to absorb new information. We constantly think about how to make things better. So when you are given up, when you are given something, you always think about how this works, what can we do to make this work better, what are all the problems of this, what are all the advantages of this, what are all the disadvantages of this. So as an engineer, we all have this mindset, right? So this is what an entrepreneur usually does. So an entrepreneur usually loves to listen to new information. He always tries to scan the world to see where problems are, where something novel is happening. And then of course, we all learn from failure and move on, right? Of course, as an engineer, we all face failure every day. If you are let's take a simple example. You take a breadboard, you start building some circuit. Will it work in the first instance itself? No, right? It will not work, because maybe you would have forgot some connection here, maybe you would have forgot a resistor there, you would have forgot a transistor there. So you then understand what went wrong, what you did, what mistakes you did, and then you try to move on, right? So those are all the skill sets an entrepreneur always has. And then action oriented, we always love to do something, right? We always love to we want to do something rather than always reading something, right? So that's why we even have practical lab sessions where we try to apply what we learn in the theory classes inside the lab, to understand how electronics work, right? So we always love to be action oriented. And then of course, we need to have some tolerance for risk, uncertainty, and focus on what value we can create as an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur and entrepreneurship is coming up with something new that will benefit the world, or it will benefit a set of people, or a group of people, or a set of customers, group of customers. So that is what I mean by value creation. So why do you, so let me ask a quick question, how many people here are using the foldable phones that are coming into the market uh, recently? How many people here are using the Samsung Fold, Oppo Fold? Anyone using a foldable smartphone? You can maybe even type in the chat if anyone is using a foldable smartphone. So no one is using a foldable smartphone. So anyone using Apple iPhone?
Probably expensive. Samsung still expensive.
Samsung still expensive. Okay.
Yeah,
So
not
how many
folding.
people are using smartwatch?
Smart pot.
Smartwatch.
Okay. Those smartwatch.
Smartwatch.
Yes. We got one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So one.
I use Xiaomi. Yes, I use one.
Okay. So the student who answered using a smartwatch, why are you using the smartwatch? Can you share it with us?
Yes.
There are of course old watches like this, like the Casio, like Seiko, and all of these brands. So why are you using a smartwatch?
Any answer? Why you need a smartwatch? Because fancy? Because the trend? Because everybody use it?
Yeah, so yeah, I think the most important thing that the smartwatch does is like it gives like lot of like information on your health, like vitals, like how many steps you have walked today, like how many kilometers you have jogged today, so like what is the calories you have burned today. Sometimes it also tracks your heart rate, so it helps you to like understand how your heart rate is functioning. Some Apple watches like even provide ECG as well, like so it provides you some ECG reports and all.
Yeah.
So these are some sort of new things that smartwatches provide, which an ordinary watch like the ones that I showed doesn't provide, right? So I feel like this is even a better watch than the ordinary watch. Like this is a digital watch which can still like has having some stopwatch functionality. It has a compass, it has a light and all, but there are like many old type of watches which does not have anything, right? It just provides you the time. And then there are like these digital watches which provides you little bit of more information. And then there are like these smart watches that provide you like even more information. It provides you the ability to connect with your smartphone. You can sometimes like receive notifications in your smartwatch. You can sometimes even speak answer a phone call with your smartwatch. So these are some values that the smartwatch provides, which the other type of watches doesn't provide you. So as an entrepreneur, as a technopreneur, or as an engineer, like so basically we are all engineers, and we all need to like focus on value creation. We want to like make new things. We want to like innovate new things so that businesses can obtain more profit, right? So this is what mainly like what an entrepreneur does, and as an engineer we all do the same thing. So which means we are all like born entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship is not rocket science really, that you need to like learn something out and enroll in a business school and things like that. So let's see how we can build a startup. So how you can build your own business. So previously the old school way of building a business was like someone has an idea and we always like stick with our idea. We fall in love with our idea, then we spend all of our money. We build a product without even like validating whether the idea we have solves a purpose or not. And then we try to like build all the new features, all the innovative features we have. We spend all of our money that we have and we come up with our product. And this was how like people were building businesses previously, like back 10 years before, like 15 years before, 20 years before. And then it was a huge risk because people are like spending all of their money without validating anything. They are building all of the features in the first product itself, and they are like releasing it to the market, and they are just finding that no one is interested to buy it. So then what will happen? So eventually like the startup will die, the business will die, right? Because if no one is buying your product, if no one is interested to buy your product, then the business cannot survive. So this was how people before were trying to build a business. So and this is the reason why many businesses fail, many startups fail. So if you see these reasons, top reasons why startups fail, top reasons why businesses fail. One of the most top reason was like the business ran out of cash or failed to raise new capital. So why does a business run out of cash? So if the business doesn't have any sales, so if you are coming up with a product and that product is not something the market is looking for, um, and you cannot do any business, right? So instead of a watch like this, instead of a smartwatch that is small in size like this, if you come with a smartwatch that has a dial like this phone, if you have a dial this big, will someone buy a watch? No one will buy a watch, right? So everyone wants to have a small watch, but everyone wants to have like lot of features, right? So that is why we need to always validate what we are building before we launch it as a business. So when we don't do it, we launch some product into the market and we will not be able to sell it, and then of course we will not be able to make any money out of the product. We would have used all of the money that we had, and eventually the business cannot survive. And this is the reason also why many companies are laying off these days. So globally, if you see every day, many companies are like laying off. Uh, every day you see the news, like there should be some company laying off like thousands of people, 10,000s of people. So what is the main reason? Because the main reason is like during the pandemic time, during the COVID time, they came up with some products. They felt that this sort of like work from home, digitalization, all of these things would be continuing beyond COVID. And then they hired lot of people to develop some all of these virtual platforms, virtual technologies. But once the COVID pandemic got ended and once every company started to insist people need to come back to the office and work, then people started to go back to the office and people stopped using all of these digital technologies. And that is the reason why many companies who hired a lot of people during that time, anticipating that there will be a lot of demand for these technologies and products, eventually found out that the demand has kind of like slowed down for all of these products and technologies, and now they are like laying off. So this is the main reason why startups fail. Then of course the second important reason is like developing a product or a technology which does not have any market need. So so of course like if you develop something that no one is looking for, no one is like willing to buy, then of course you cannot sell that product. So one good example could be, let's say you come up with a flying car. So you come up with a flying car and you make this car, you price this car like uh 200,000, $300,000, 300 or 400,000, or maybe you price this car $1 million. It is a flying car. Will anyone buy it? Of course, maybe like one person or like two-person will buy it, but maybe like not everyone, right? So the person buying it for 1 million will not cover all of your operational cost, will not be covering all of your running costs, will not be covering all of your R&D costs to develop this product, right? So that is why you when you need to when you're starting a business, you need to come with a product which has a market need. Otherwise, your startup or business will fail. Then of course, like other reasons, like there are going to be competitors. You are not the only one in the market. There are going to be a lot of other competitors competing with you in terms of price, performance, specifications, all of these. So you need to like compete with all of the competitors. If you don't have a proper business model, if you have any regulatory legal challenges, so if you come up with a flying car, like will the government immediately grant you approval to sell it? No, right? The government is going to first put up the red light to your business, right? So they are going to now say, no, 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 you cannot operate this car. Like you need to like pass all the regulatory clearances. We don't even have a framework of how a flying car will operate. There are going to be a lot of risks here. There are going to be probably there could be some accidents happening. So a lot of risks need to be addressed, and they are going to now stop your business. So similarly, like if you come up with some sort of medical technologies, medical products, so some of the people here are working on like health technologies, smart health, such products. So for all of these medical products, regulatory challenges are very important. So if you don't pass these regulatory challenges, you will not be able to commercialize these products. So let's say you come up with a tablet. Let's say you just come up with a tablet. You can't just like that go and sell this tablet in the market today. You need to pass all of the regulatory clearances. So if you are not able to pass the regulatory clearance, then of course you can't sell this product, and your business may not be successful. And then pricing cost issues. So you need to sell things at a profit. Like if it costs you $50 to make a product, and if you are able to sell it only at $25, then you are already losing $25 of money. So that's how like businesses fail as well. And then not having the right team. So the employees are like the most important assets of any business. So similarly, when you are doing your IDP project, you have a team with you. And if each and every one of you are like fighting, like if you are daily having some sort of arguments, like you are not going to progress with your project. So you need to have a good team as well when you are building a business. So these are just some reasons why startups fail. Now let's start to look about like how you can then build a good business, how you can build a good startup. But before that, well, like what is a startup even? Like we have been using this term quite frequently for the past 20 minutes. Like what is a startup? So basically a startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and a scalable business model. So when you just start your business, if you go to the government and if you register your business name today, your business will be called as a startup because you just started it. And your job as an entrepreneur, your job as a businessman is to now find out, search for a business model, for a business model that would be repeatable and scalable so that your business can grow bigger, and then it can be called as a business instead of a startup. It can be called as a organization instead of a startup. It can be called as a company instead of a startup. So startup is a very temporary thing. So you can consider like you develop some circuit in a breadboard. That is the startup. So once you validate it and then you move it to a PCB, that is a company, that is a organization. So that is like a very small analogy between like startup and organization. And then the business model that you come up with should be repeatable. It should work today, it should work tomorrow, it should work after 6 months, right? And then it should be scalable. Scalable means like you invest $1 money into your company and then you need to get profit. You need to get $5 or $10, or at least like bare minimum, you need to get $2 of money as profit. So that is like scalable. And the business model in itself is like how the company creates value for itself while delivering products and services for customers. So let's take again Samsung phone as an example. What is the business model of Samsung? So the business model of Samsung is nothing but they develop this phone, they sell it. That is the business model. They develop this product, they sell it. But if you take Apple, for example, of course, Apple also develops the product and they sell it, but they also have some services coming together with the Apple phone. So you have you have the Apple store where you can go and buy applications, where you can buy games. So these are some services that Apple provides you together with the physical product. So so businesses exist to provide products and to provide services, and sometimes few businesses bundle them together. So that is called as a business model. Basically, if you just sell the hardware, that is a business model. Few business models will sell hardware and software. Few business models will sell hardware and some services. Few business models will sell software and some services. So there are like many types of business model. So your job as an entrepreneur is to identify what business model you are going to create for your company. You need to search that business model, and that business model needs to be repeatable and scalable. So how to build a startup, how to build a business? So like just wanted to like give a very simple uh, block diagram here. The very first thing you will do is like you will discover customers. You will do customer discovery. You will identify who are your customers. You will identify what are their problems. Then you will validate these problems with them. Validate whether the customers you are going to follow are going to be your customers or whether you are going to change change your customers. So for example, let's take for example, you come up with a beauty product. You come up with a beauty product. Who are the customers, like primary majority customers of beauty products? Beauty products. Can anyone type in the chat window? Who are the major customers, like 80%, 90% of customers of beauty products? Can anyone guess? Mom, there is no right or wrong answer. Like it's all like your perception. So just wanted to like understand from you. So who are the customers of beauty products? Anyone using any beauty product here? Face cream, like perfume. Anyone using deodorant sprays? No one using it.
Men and women.
Yeah.
I didn't use it.
Oh, you don't use any of these things. Okay.
No, I
Surprise.
didn't use it. Surprise.
Surprise. Okay,
I'm
surprising.
natural beauty.
Natural beauty. Okay. Surprising. Yeah. So the majority of the beauty products are like mostly like, yeah, young people, right? Like, so college students like want to like use perfumes, like deodorant sprays, like face creams, like styling gels, hair gels. So of course, like I know like many people, like many of the students should be using it here, but maybe like you are you are feeling shy to like put it in the chat. But see, like this is the customer base of beauty products. So so you can't sell these beauty products to people who are like 70 plus, 80 plus, 90 plus in the age, right? No one is no one is going to like uh, no one is going to like even buy buy these products, right? Because people at the age of 70 are not going to care anything about their appearance anymore, right? But people who are younger are going to care about their appearance. They want to like look beautiful. They want to like use all of these products. So this is your customer discovery and this is your customer validation. So this is your search phase. And then once you have done it, then you will create your customers and then you will build your company. So then you will create the products by which you will create all these customers. Then you will build your company. So this is how to build a startup. Okay, so now so with this very short introduction, now let's get into like today's topic, today's session, design thinking. So everyone has a great idea, right? Maybe like you are all having some ideas to work on your IDP project. So I already saw like a list from professor, like each group is like working on like these teams, like smart health, like so all of these teams. So you all have some ideas. But did you think really what problem are you solving with these ideas? So idea is different, the solution is different. Anyone can have any idea, right? But what is the problem you are solving? That is very, very important in any business. And how can you identify problems and analyze them? So that is why we are going to see about design thinking today. See, ideas in itself cannot be sold. Products that are created just based on ideas, just based on good ideas, also cannot be sold. We always need to identify what problems our target customers are facing. Then we need to come up with a product that kinds of addresses the problems that our customers are facing. So if you are able to do this, then of course you can build a successful business. But how can you identify problems? How can you identify problems that are good enough, that are worthy enough to build a business around it? Because when you go and speak with some customer, they are going to give you like thousands and thousands of problems. You can't, as a single person, you can't solve all of their problems, right? So you need to identify which is the most important problem, which is the most critical problem that is worthy of building a business. and you need to identify how many people are having these problems. Is only one person having this problem, or is are thousands of people having this problem, or millions of people having this problem? When you identify this, then you can come up with a product to address this problem. So again, going back to the COVID pandemic time. So during the pandemic time, there was a lot of like these lockdowns, restrictions. People weren't allowed to come out of their home. So everyone wanted to be inside their home. People were afraid to come out. And this problem was a global problem, right? It wasn't like only in one place, or it wasn't like only in one city. It wasn't in only in one country. It was a global problem. Globally, everyone cannot cannot travel. Everyone can't commute to their office space. Everyone were working at home. So this is the problem that all of these companies like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, all of these companies identified, and they came up with all of these platforms like Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Zoom, all of these platforms. And then we are all now using all of these platforms today to kind of meet between different parts of the world, right? So similarly, as an entrepreneur, you need to identify problems that are big enough, problems that many people are facing, and then you need to come up with solutions to address those problems. And those solutions are your products or your services with which you can build a business. Now, how to identify this problem? This is where like design thinking framework kinds of like helps you. Now, what is design thinking? What is design thinking? So basically, design thinking is a kind of like a structured approach. So it is kind of basically it is a framework. It is a 5-step process. We will see it later in the slide, but just giving you a very brief introduction. So design thinking is a framework. It is a 5-step process, basically used to identify big problems worthy of building a business. So it is basically a customer-centered approach for creative problem solving and innovative solution generation. So when I say it is a customer-centered approach, you need to really pay attention to this word. So design thinking is a customer-centered approach. It is not it is not like a one-sided approach. It is not used to just come up with a problem on your own or just come up with a solution on your own. So it is always the customer is part of this design thinking methodology and design thinking framework. So this is where most of the people uh, miss out things. Like see, as an entrepreneur, I uh, I started building my company after speaking with hundreds of people and identifying what sort of problems they are facing. So you can see the customer centered approach. But similarly, when you are doing when you are doing your IDP project, have you spoken with at least 10 people and identified what sort of problems they are facing? Probably you would have not, right? Because like you didn't like really pay attention to like you need to speak with people to like identify their problems and then come up with a solution, right? So this is what I want to advise you all to follow. You may be having some ideas to do the projects. You may be having some topics already, right? Now go and start speaking with some people. Start speaking with identify who your target customers are, or like identify who your target users are. Then go and start speaking with those people. Once you start to speak with those people, you are going to get lot of insights. You are going to gather lot of problems they are facing. You are going to gather lot of perspectives and insights from them, which will help you to like really build your IDP project in a better way that can be kind of seamlessly converted into a business later on. Of course, I'm not like advising you to like immediately start a business after you complete your IDP project. Like, of course, you can get into employment, like you can do whatever you want. But maybe like after 5 years or maybe after 10 years, suddenly you feel that yeah, I want to do my business now. I want to like start up my own company. I want to like do something better in my life. When you reach that point, maybe you will think about me like, okay, like this guy was like giving this lecture on like design thinking, like customer centered. So let's do this. So you may be thinking at that point. So that's why I want you to now do this now itself. Again, even if you get into a company, if you are working on like some marketing relevant roles or like product management kind of roles or like project management kind of roles, again, like customers opinion, customers voice is going to be very, very important. So you need to like really understand what problems customers are facing, and you need to understand whether the product you are building or the solution you are building is kind of like aligned with the customers interests and customers problems. So this design thinking framework is used by many people. Like it's a very very famous framework that is used by many people. It is used by a lot of corporate companies to come up with new products and solutions, which will kind of like boost their business. It is used by governments to come up with new services that can like cater the people in a much efficient way. Of course, you can use it in your personal life. You can use it in your professional life. So it is really like a problem solving framework that can be like that is kind of like applicable anywhere. Like it isn't only applicable to a business setting. It is applicable everywhere. So these are some companies like which are using like design thinking. So like these are just few companies, like that's all. Like, but in today's world, I can really bet you that like almost every company in today's world kind of like uses design thinking either directly or indirectly. They are always speaking with their customers. They are understanding what sort of problems customers are facing, and they're trying to build up solutions based on it. So why do companies and startups use design thinking basically? Because see, design thinking basically when you apply design thinking, it basically helps you to make things that people want. So that there's a little bit of difference between making things that people want and making people want things. So that both are like different, right? Making things people want. So let's say you go to a hospital, um, you go to the orthopedics wing, and then you meet someone who fractured his leg. You are meeting your friend who fractured his leg, and he's going to be is about to be discharged, but he's still not really able to like walk well because he's still feeling the pain, like the bone has still not joined fully properly, and you present him an Apple iPhone. Will he be interested? So two of you go. One of your friend is presenting him an Apple iPhone. One of your friend is presenting him a walking stick. Which present will make your friend happier? Of course, Apple iPhone will still make your friend happier.
I would actually.
Yeah,
I'll be
but
happier to receive one Apple phone.
yeah, yes, but the most important thing he needs at this moment is the walking stick, right? Because
Yeah,
that
the
is
moment
that
of it,
yes,
yes.
yes, because that is something that is now really helping him to like get back on his own feet. It is really helping him to like helping him in his rehabilitation journey, right? So that is making things people want. So this in this situation, the walking stick is the thing that your friend wants. But iPhone, of course, it is very attractive, right? And the moment he sees the iPhone, like the box, the logo, he of course like he kind of gets attracted to it. So that is like make people want things. So you are making your friend to want for this iPhone. So both are different, right? Of course, like both has its own purposes. Like I am not saying like this is better and this is not better. Both has its own purpose. But as a startup, as a business, you are just trying to build from zero, from nothing. You are just trying to build everything from scratch. You need to make things that people want. You don't want to like make people want things. Of course, that will come later. So once you have the product, once you found that the product has kind of like achieved the product market fit, like once you found that 100 people are like now using your product, now you want to think about how to make 1,000 people use this product. Then this is where you will start to think about all the marketing gimmicks, marketing strategies, which will make people want your product. But before that, you always need to focus on making things that people want. So this is what design thinking will help you to do. And that is why design thinking is very kind of like very famous, and it's kind of like used by like almost all of the companies in today's world. Okay. So as I said before, like whenever you are looking to develop a new product, like you need to pay attention to three important things. One is like feasibility, one is desirability, and one is viability. Feasibility is like from the technical perspective or from the cost perspective or from like any perspective, whether it is even feasible to do this product, whether you have the capability to do this product, whether you have the resources to do this product. Just by having a 2% team, you can't build a flying car, right? If you want to build a flying car, you need to have like 100 people team or a 200 people team, and you need to have like lots and lots of money. So so you need to first of all, before you start to build anything, you need to understand whether it is feasible to build. Then the viability, whether you have the money to build this. And if you build it, whether will it be able to be commercializable? Will it be able to uh, make people happy with your with your product? So that is viability. Then the desirability, whether people are interested to buy this, whether people love to buy this. So basically innovation happens when you find the sweet spot between all of these three. So any product that you have basically like kinds of addresses all of these three aspects. It is feasible, it is viable, it is desirable. If something is zero, then of course like you can't really sell that product, right? It needs to have some sort of desirability, it needs to have some sort of viability, and it needs to have some sort of feasibility. So now let's see what the design thinking process is. So basically design thinking process, as I said before, it's a 5-step process. Like of course here I am showing 6 steps, but basically the core design thinking process is a 5-step process. Basically empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test, and you of course you finally implement it. So implementation, like I don't consider it as a step, because it is anyhow it needs to be done. It is a must to be done, right? So design thinking is a 5-step process: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So during the empathize and define phase, you are now understanding. You are understanding the market, you are understanding your customer, you are understanding the problem, you are understanding what solution you are going to build. You are understanding all of these things. And then during the ideation and prototyping stage, you are now exploring like what sort of solutions you can build, like how many ideas you can come up with, like how can you prototype it, like so you are like exploring, like you build a lot of prototypes and you kind of like validate it with your customer, you explore a lot of things. Then finally you test it and implement it, and this is where you materialize it, like you kind of like really convert your convert the problem into a business opportunity. So now let's look into all of these steps individually. Now let's start with empathize. So empathize, there are like 2 terms: empathize, sympathize. Empathy, sympathy. So both are different actually. Empathy and sympathy are different. Sympathy is you feel bad for someone. Like so you see. So again, coming back to your the old example, your friend is discharged, your friend is admitted in a hospital for a fracture. You go and meet him and you feel bad, then you come back. So that is like sympathy. You feel bad for your friend and then you come back. Uh, that is sympathy. Empathy is you go and meet your friend. You understand your friend is really struggling. You understand your friend is in pain. You sit with your friend. You stay with him in the hospital like for a week, for 2 weeks. You help him all the way, and finally, when he's getting discharged, you come out of the hospital together with him. But in that 2 weeks, you help him all the way for his rehabilitation. You kind of like carry him, or like you give your shoulders, you give your hand, helping hand to him. You take him to all the canteen, like you speak with the doctor, you speak with the nurse, you understand like how he is progressing. You promptly give all of the medicines to him. So you kind of like sit together with him, and you really like go through the rehabilitation process together with him. So that is called empathy. So in the design thinking process, we don't need sympathy, we need empathy. We need to empathize with your target customers. So you need to like really undergo what sort of you need to like really experience what sort of problems your customers are facing. So that is very, very important in the design thinking process, and this is the very first step. If you are not really experiencing the problem that your customer is facing, you will not be able to really understand it, right? Because unless you experience it, you will not be able to understand it. Few people few people, like let's say, like are having fear to go in the dark, right? Maybe few people does not have that fear. So if someone is saying like, hey, I am afraid of going in the dark, most people will not really understand it, right? But if you also, let's now go together in the dark, let's understand why you are getting this fear, and then you will now know, oh, okay, like, okay, so there are something that, okay, because of the darkness, like basically like we are getting some thoughts, and we are getting a little bit afraid. So you need to like really go through the problems with them. You need to experience those problems with them, and that is called as empathize, and that is very, very important. And once you empathize with your customers, you will really understand the burning needs of your target customers. You will really gather lots and lots of insights about the problems your customers are facing, and that is very, very important to develop your solution later on. And then once you and of course, like as I said before, like there are like two things, like wants and needs. Like I want an iPhone, but I don't need an iPhone, right? Because see, I already have my smartphone with me, but I can still desire for having an iPhone. I want an iPhone, but I don't need an iPhone, because at this moment I already have a smartphone which kinds of like satisfy all of my needs. So that is, you need to go towards the needs. You need to focus on the needs of your customers. Wants, you don't need to like focus on the wants, because people may want many things, but there are like few needs that need to be fundamentally addressed. So these are the problems that you need to like identify. So that is why, like if you are doing this empathy, like if you are doing this empathy stage properly, if you are really empathizing with your customers, then you will be able to identify the needs of your customers. So of course, like I will later on also share these slides with you. So don't worry if it is like too much of information now. So how to empathize? So just three things, right? Like you go and sit with your customer, you listen to all of what they say, you discuss with them, you observe them. So these are like three things that you need to do, like, and you need to do it very actively. You need to like actively listen, you need to actively discuss, you need to actively observe. It's not like you just go and sit and like you listen to them thinking about what what is the lunch I am going to have. It's already 12 o'clock now. So if you think about like what is the lunch I'm going to have now, I am already hungry, but you don't like really listen to what your customer is saying, like that's not active listening. So you need to like really pay your full attention to like actively listen. You need to like then actively discuss with them. You need to like observe, like if they are doing some task and if their problems are arising out of some of their tasks that they are doing, you need to observe like what they are doing and how they are doing. And then once you do all of this, then you can build this empathy map. So for your customer, for your friend, let's say for example again, for your friend who is in the hospital for admitted for a fracture, like what are his pains, what are his fears, what are his frustrations, what are his obstacles, what are the gains that he is looking for, what are his needs, what are his wants, uh, what is the measure of success for him, like what is his goal. And then like what is he seeing in the hospital, like what is he hearing, what are his friends saying, like what are his family saying, uh like wow, if he's in the college, like what is his professor saying, like so you need to like understand all of this. So once you understand all of this, you are going to like write write it down all of this in this empathy map, and then that will give you a lot of insights about your customer.
So,
And
by the
then once,
way,
yeah,
empathize, right?
yeah,
If you are collecting questions and answer from the market, right? How do you tell is this a lie or just simply answer, or is it just how do you get the true answer on
yes,
a bundle of this answer?
yeah.
Probably they are
So that is
garbage,
why
whatever. Yes.
we need to observe them also. So that is why listening is not enough, discussing is not enough, and we need to really observe them. We need to like really undergo the same things with them. So we need to do all of these three things to really know whether what they are telling is, or like what they are experiencing is the real problem they are facing. Other, and we need to like also our sample size also plays a part. So that's why like we shouldn't just do this activity with just one person. Like if we identify a group of customers, let's say we identify like college students as our customer target, we need to go and speak with at least like 10 people or like 15 people, and then understand if all of them are like facing the same issue. So by that way, like we can really correlate if the problem is a real problem, or like it is a cooked up or a made up problem.
But by the way, how do you suggest? Well, I just ask your
Yeah,
opinion, and probably we discuss and share with
yeah,
the students. So how you differentiate these listens, discuss, observation,
yes,
differentiate with what the academicians have done. We academician done through literature review
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
massive reading. What
yeah.
is it? Empathize?
No, the academic way of doing is, I wouldn't say it is empathize. That is like, I would say that is like a secondary research basically. Just like identifying like what is available, like what people have done in the past, and getting some knowledge out of it. Like I would say it is like secondary research, but all of this is like primary research, because academicians, like we always like read the previous literature papers like IEEE, like journal papers, and we come up with a conclusion. But here what I'm saying is like we need to now really go and speak with people, like really go and like discuss with them, really go and like observe with them. So for example, like when I was building my own startup, like as I was saying before, it was a medical diagnostic product. So I went and spoke with at least like 50 doctors, and I spoke with at least 50 lab technicians to really understand from the doctor's perspective what sort of problems they are facing, how is their diagnostic methodology. Then from the lab technician's perspective, what are the problems they are facing, how is their methodology. And I sometimes like sat inside the lab and I really observed how they are doing these tests. So one of the major problem that we identified was like the long lead time to results. So the doctor need to wait at least 24 hours to 48 hours to do the test. The technician need to do these experiments for like 1 hour, and sometimes the samples get spoiled along the way. Then they need to again redo these tests. So I really like sat inside the lab and like observed all of these things, and that's how I kind of like came up with a solution with which like it was a simple device with which like you just have a cartridge, you just insert the cartridge into the device, and then like the results will be immediately delivered within 1 hour. So this is why like we need to do primary research. Like just we shouldn't be relying just on like the academic papers or like what previously people have done. So of course
Yeah.
that is also important to give us like a first order understanding of what has been done before, what failures has been done, what failures have happened, what successes have happened before, but it shouldn't really lead to like the future without like having this primary research or like the discussions with potential customers.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
could you share with us with what is your idea, right? I think through the Q&A probably you get some message, right?
yeah,
The what about the uh to what depth or the level of the study and this empathizing effort, right?
mm,
How are you going to justify? Is it going to be convincing?
yeah.
To what degree that is going to convince? Is it to convince the researcher, or is it going to convince investor, or convince the market,
Yeah.
the people who need it?
So actually, like we need to convince all of these three people. So basically, like when we are doing this research, like so we are the researcher. So basically, first of all, because of course we are developing this business, so we now have the big responsibility, like because we are going to now meet the investor, and then the investor is going to like ask like hundreds and hundreds of questions to us. So we need to be, first of all, we need to be convinced that the data we have obtained is good enough to convince an investor who is willing to put money into our business, right? Because see, when we go and speak with people, everyone are going to say, yeah, it's a good idea, it's a great idea, you can do it. But if you go to the same person and ask, can you invest just $1 into my company, now they are going to ask you like 10 questions, right? Because like without money the discussion is different, but when money is involved, then the discussion is going to be completely different. Even it is like just $1, if someone is going to come and ask you, just give me $1, then you are going to ask you, why should I give you $1? Like what is the business, like what are you trying to do? But if someone is just coming and speaking with you, like yeah, you will have a casual chat. So that is why like we need to first we need to be convinced ourselves. And uh, and the amount of like data that we need to collect, it really depends from project to project, like from product to product, from business to business. But I would say like we need to like, if we really want to build a business, we need to at least like speak with like 50 people or like 100 people. And after like speaking with like a group of people, like you will see that like a lot of similarities start to happen. Like you speak with first 10 people, you will get like 8 results. Then you speak with the other 10 people, like all of these people will also like confirm these results. From 8 you will be narrowing down to like 4. You speak with another 10 people, then most of them will just say like the first two problems are the most painful ones. Then from the 4 you will narrow down to 2. Then you speak with the other 50 people, then they will say no, this the first one is the most painful one. Like if you are having some solution, we will definitely like be interested to buy it, we will be interested to try it out. So this is how like we need to like narrow down. And then once you have this data, then it is easy to also convince your investor, because when you go to the investor and say, okay, these are the data I collected from 100 people, and these are the profiles of the 100 people, and from this, like this is the similarity that I have obtained, like this is the key problem that all of these 100 people are facing, and if I solve it, like all of these 100 people will be like it will be useful for all of these 100 people. So then the investor will also be convinced. So we need to like convince the researcher, we need to be convinced ourselves, we need to convince the customer also. Like when we are coming up with a solution, the customer should also be convinced to buy it, right? Because if the customer feels okay, this is a solution, but I don't trust you, or like I don't trust the accuracy of this or something like that, then the customer may not buy it. So we need to convince like all of these people with our research.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is a very important stage, right?
Yes, yes,
To
yes,
empathize. Yes.
yes, yes.
Thank
So
you.
that
Thank
is
you.
why,
To,
yeah, empathize is very, very important, and the first step for the design thinking process. So then the second step, it is like defining. So as I said before, like when you speak with 100 people, like you will get like hundreds, and like each people, let's say each people comes and tells you like 5 problems, then you will easily have 500 problems. But as a startup or as a small business, you don't have the resources or the ability or the capability to like solve all of these 500 problems, right? And all of these 500 problems need not be even solved, because like all of these 500 problems, by solving all of these 500 problems, you're not going to get money, right? You need to clearly define which problem is the most important one. If solved, can can kind of like indirectly solve like 400 of these problems or 300 of these problems, because like sometimes like few of the problems are also interlinked, right? Like, so sometimes like a customer says, I need a like a walking stick. Then maybe you ask him like, why do you need a walking stick? Then maybe he says like, I have a knee pain. Then maybe you ask him like, why do you need why are you having knee pain? Then maybe he says like, I stand in my workplace for like 10 hours, 10 hours a day or like 15 hours a day. Then the solution here is like not the walking stick. The solution here is like a chair for him to sit in the office space, right? If you are going to give the chair so that he can sit in the office space, then the problem is solved, right? So this is why like you need to clearly define, because if you're not able to clearly define, then of course your target is not going to be like clearly defined. And if you don't have a clear target, like you don't know what to achieve, right? Like if the target is always moving, like you don't know what to hit, right? So that is why like defining the problem to be solved is very, very important. And again, you need to go and validate it also. Like once you define it, like you need to again go and speak with your customer, you need to validate all of these things. So, how to define a problem? How to define a problem? So basically, like it is a very, very simple thing. Like you take the user, you take their need, and you put all of the insights that you that you would have gathered from empathizing with it, and you come up with a problem statement. So by the end of this definition stage, by the end of this empathizing and definition stage, you should have a clear problem statement. So for example, like I have given this template, so user, need, insight. So let's take this example. Symptomatic, asymptomatic people, like during the COVID time, like require a handheld kit to test if they are COVID positive, because during the pandemic situation, it is difficult to travel outside. This is the major reason why lot of this antigen rapid test kits, the ART test kits, came to the market. Because first, when COVID came, like many people had to do PCR test. They need to go to the lab, they need to go to the hospital, they need to give the sample, they need to wait for like 6 hours, 12 hours to know the result. But it was very difficult, right? Because people were afraid to go out, and people didn't want to go out, but people still wanted some sort of a simple way to like test whether they are having COVID infection or not. So that is why all these companies came up with this handheld test kit, like the antigen rapid test kit, that you can do it in home without any supervision. You don't need a lab technologist to do it. So it's all like printed in the instruction manual. It is very simple for you to do it. So by the end of this defined stage, you should have a clear problem statement like this that will guide you to develop your product in the future. So once you have this clear definition, clearly defined problem statement, then now you are going to ideate. Now you are going to think about what are all the different ways you can solve this problem. You are now going to come up with lots and lots of ideas. So ideation phase concentrates on the solution generation for the problem to be solved. And during this ideation phase, you need to come up with lots and lots of ideas. So you need to come up with lots and lots of ideas. And why it is important? Because if you just come up with one idea, it can be easily invalidated by the customer, right? So you come up with one idea, then the customer may not like it. Then you will think about what to do next, right? So that is why you need to do brainstorming. You need to come up with like hundreds of ideas. So for this problem statement, what are all the 100 ways to solve this problem? What are all the 100 ways? So it is easy when you do it as a team, because see, when as a single person, like we all have some limitation in terms of our thinking, right? Like after like maybe 6, 7 ideas, like we will start to think about the same idea again and again and again, right? But this is why when you have a group, when you do this brainstorming exercise as a group, each one can come up with like 5, 6 ideas. And when you are like a group of 5, then easily you would have come up with like 25, 26 different ideas that will be different, because each one will have your own insights, each one will have your own perspectives, each one will have your own way of thinking. So that will lead to like new ideas. So that's why like you need to have diverse people in your group. You need to have like diverse people in your group. And during this brainstorming exercise, you go and sit alone. Each one of you go and sit alone, and then just take 10 minutes. Just write 10 ideas. Just write the idea that immediately comes to your mind. You don't need to, like, during this brainstorming phase, you don't need to like spend half an hour or like 1 hour, because if you spend half an hour, 1 hour, you'll start to think about the same idea again and again and again, and you will start to derive multiple ideas from the same idea again and again and again. We don't want that to happen. So that's why you need to just, it should be like kind of a quick pressure exercise. So you just have 10 minutes, come up with 10 ideas. Or like you just have 5 minutes, come up with 10 ideas. You just write tick, 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 tick. Okay, this thing came in my mind, I'm writing it. This thing came in my mind, I'm writing it. So you come up with 10 ideas in 5 minutes. So each idea just 30 seconds, right? In 30 seconds, you come up with an idea. You don't think anything about the feasibility now. During this brainstorming exercise, you don't need to think anything about the feasibility. You need to come with the most number of ideas, and as a group you come up with like 50, 60 ideas. Then you all sit together as a group, then do this SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. Take each idea, do SWOT analysis. For each idea, what is the strength of this idea, what is the weakness of this idea, what opportunities this idea provides, what are all the threats this idea has. For each of the 50 ideas that you come up with, do the SWOT analysis. Now you rank them. Once you rank them, so how to rank? Again, like if some idea is having like more strength, less weakness, less threat, more opportunities, you put them in the top rank. So if something has like zero strength, like zero, like or like zero opportunities, like more number of weakness, more number of threats, you put it in the last. So this is how you rank. So once you rank it, then you finally again go and validate it with your customer. So at every step, at each and every of this step, you need to like validate with your customer. So once you empathize, you need to validate. Once you define the problem statement, you again go and validate. Once you ideate, you come up with like 50 ideas ranked, you go and now validate the top five ideas with your customer. And after this, now you will start to prototype the top 5 ideas. So prototyping helps to visualize the solution. If you go and just speak with your customer, this is my solution, he may not be able to fully understand your solution. But if you show him something, this is how your solution is going to look like, this is how your solution is going to feel like, then he is going to really understand, the customer is going to understand your solution. So that is why prototyping really helps you in visualizing the solution. And when you are prototyping, you will also consider a lot of these things also. When you don't prototype, you will never consider whether the idea is usable, whether the idea is like accessible, whether the idea has proper ergonomics, whether the idea has like proper like human factors, like whether the user can interact it with it properly, whether the user can use it properly, use it without any difficulties, use it with convenience. So you need to like uh, consider all of these things, and all of these things are possible only if you prototype it. Without prototyping, you will not be able to like consider any of these things, because once you really do the prototype of your idea, then you will really understand whether it is usable, whether the design is good, whether it is accessible, whether the performance would be good, whether it is ergonomically good, all of these factors. And there are like many tools to prototype it. Of course, if you are coming up with a software idea, like let's say, for example, you are coming up with the application idea, you are coming up with some sort of website or software. These are some tools that you can use to prototype your application without developing the application. So prototyping is not developing it. Please understand the difference. Developing is something different. Prototyping is something different. Prototyping is like really ugly. Really, it is like the scratch. So basically, like you take a breadboard, like if it is a hardware solution, you are coming up with, you take a breadboard, you connect all of the things together, you check whether it works or not. That is how the prototype should be. Prototype should be made quickly. It should be made with the bare minimum resources you have with you. You shouldn't make efforts to make a prototype beautiful. Like, so that is not the purpose of prototyping. The purpose of prototyping is to quickly validate whether the top 5 ideas that you came up with will work with your customer or not. You don't need to spend much money to prototype, because see, in the top 5 ideas can be easily invalidated by your customer. The customer may say like, these top 5 ideas are not good. So you don't need to like spend a lot of money, time, effort in developing the prototype. It needs to be quickly done. So that is why there are like a lot of these tools. For hardware, of course, you can use this breadboard, Raspberry Pi, Arduino, like 3D printing, such things to quickly come up with your hardware prototype. If you are developing application, if your idea is like an application or a website or some sort of software, you can use all of these top left tools like Adobe XD, InVision, Marvel, Webflow. There are a lot of these tools that you can use to quickly come up with the mock-up of your application or software that you can go and now prototype with your customer. And then once you develop these prototypes, then you are going to now test it with your customer. You are going to now test whether this prototype is able to solve your customer's problem, whether this prototype is able to address the needs of your customer. So the testing phase is when you will get feedback from your customers about the prototypes you have created. So let's take, for example, the top 5 ideas. You come up with a quick prototype. Let's take again, for example, like the top 5 ideas, one is like the wheelchair, one is like the walking stick, one is like the walking stick having some electronics functionality. So all of these different prototypes, then you do this prototype, then you go and like test it with your customer, and your customer uses each and every of the prototype, and then he gives you feedback. Feedback means like, what are the positives, what are the negatives of each and every of these prototypes. Once you have this feedback, then you again iterate. If your customer is saying, oh, okay, like this prototype is not good, like it is not solving my problem, then you iterate, you come up with another prototype, and again you go and meet your customer. If he's saying it is not still good, then you come up with another prototype. So you need to iterate. You shouldn't be afraid of failures here. So remember, in the very first slide I told, like, entrepreneurs shouldn't be afraid of failure. So you need to do multiple iterations before you come up with the final prototype that your customer is going to be really interested on. So you need to do multiple iterations, and then you get feedback for all of the prototypes that you develop. So whether they are satisfied or they are not satisfied, like you get like more feedbacks. It is not like a one word answer. Basically, you really again now see your customer, you empathize again with your customer with the prototype. You give the prototype, you again observe how they are using this prototype, how they are like engaging with your prototype, whether it is really solving their problem, whether it is really solving their need. So you again you do all of those empathizing even when you are giving this prototype to your customers. And finally, you implement it. So once your customer feels that, okay, this is the prototype, this idea is what I really love, like this idea really solves my problem, then you implement it. So this is the design thinking process, basically empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, implement. So how can design thinking fail? Like where can design thinking fail? So if you are not really empathizing with your customer, it will really fail. Because if you are not really empathizing with your customer, you will not really understand what problems your customers are facing. You will not really understand what are the needs of your customers. And then if you are not defining your problem well, because if you remember, as I said before, like there will be hundreds and hundreds of problems. There will be 500 problems. So you need to clearly define the problem that you are trying to solve. And then if you take lot of time to identify a feasible solution, then design thinking will fail. So that is why this prototyping is very, very important. You need to quickly come up with a prototype. Within half a day, you need to come with 2 prototypes. Within a day, you need to come with like 2-3 prototypes. Then again, the next day you go to your customer, you meet them, you interact with them, you get feedback. And if it is not working, you discard all these prototypes, and then the next day you come up with another 2 prototypes. Again, you go and meet your customer. So you need to do this quickly. You need to do like rapidly. So that is why this rapid iteration is very, very important. And the time you take to identify a feasible solution needs to be very, very small. And you need to do a lot of iterations in between to finally identify the feasible solution. So I hope you are now kind of like clear about design thinking, but I wanted to also show you this video, which kinds of like helps you reinforce what I said before. So let me play this video.
Yeah, probably you share the screen on YouTube, probably. Yeah, just enlarge it.
Just a second. Is the voice audible, sir?
It's no sound.
Oh,
No
okay,
sound.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's just no sound.
I
Right.
think I need
I think it's very different with Google Meet before. Yeah, we can
yeah.
play YouTube directly, but I'm not too sure with MS Team. Is it possible to play
I think
YouTube?
includes sound. Yeah. Now I think you will be able to hear the sound. Are you
A five-step
able to hear the
Yeah,
process.
yeah,
sound now?
I
Yeah.
can hear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I will play it.
Design thinking is a five-step process to come up with meaningful ideas that solve real problems for a particular group of people. The process is taught in top design and business schools around the world. It has brought many businesses lots of happy customers and helped entrepreneurs from all around the world to solve problems with innovative new solutions. Step 1. Empathize. The purpose of Step 1 is to conduct interviews that give you an idea about what people really care about. We need to empathize with their situation. For example, if you want to help old people, you might find that they want to keep the ability to walk around. In your conversations, they might share with you different ways they can do that. Later into the interview, you'll want to dig a little deeper. Look for personal stories or situations where things became difficult. Ideally, you redo the process with many people with the same problem. Step 2. Define the problem. Looking at the interviews, you can now understand the actual needs that people are trying to fulfill with certain activities. One way to do that is to underline the verbs or activities that the people mentioned when talking about their problems, like going for a walk, meeting old friends for tea, or simply going grocery shopping around the corner store. You might realize it's not so much about going out, but more about staying in touch. After your analysis, formulate a problem statement. Some elderly are afraid to be lonely. They want to stay connected. Step 3. Ideate. Now focus only on the problem statement and come up with ideas that solve the problem. The point is not to get a perfect idea, but rather to come up with many ideas, like unique virtual reality experiences, senior-friendly hoverboards, or a modified pushcart. Whatever it is, sketch up your best ideas and show them to the people you are trying to help, so you can get their feedback. Step 4. Prototype. Now take a moment to reflect on what you have learned from your conversations about the different ideas. Ask yourself, how does your idea fit in the context of people's actual lives? Your solution could be a combination of a new idea and what is already being used. Then connect the dots, sketch up your final solution, and go build a real prototype that's just good enough to be tested. Step 5. Test. Now test your prototype with actual users. Don't defend your idea in case people don't like it. The point is to learn what works and what didn't, so any feedback is great. Then go back to ideation or prototyping and apply your learning. Repeat the process until you have a prototype that works and solves the real problem. Now you are ready to change the world or open shop. To experience design thinking firsthand, do the free virtual design thinking crash course from Stanford's D School right now. You will learn to design a new gift-giving experience.
Okay, I think that video kind of gave you a good reinforcement of what we saw before. Of course, as it said before, like this video came from the Stanford Design School. So there are like some more videos like this if you go to the Stanford Design School webpage. So you can find like more such videos. So students who are interested to know more about design thinking, like I would really encourage you to like go to Stanford D School webpage, and they have like lot of templates. They have a lot of like PDFs, lot of like frameworks like surrounding the design thinking. So all of the empathy map, like all of these things, like you can like kind of like download them. You can see some videos on it as well. So with this, I hope you are all clear about design thinking. So I would love to like end the session with this video. So thank you all for listening patiently. So any questions, I'd be very happy to like answer you.
Yeah. Any question from the students, even the lecturers? There are some lecturers, researchers in the group, right? Yeah, there's one question I posed previously. I think before we run into any products design, what is the role play? What is the role play that we are the worker or we are the boss or we are the investor? Are we the
Yeah.
we are the role play or just the worker that contribute to the design or maybe you want to be our own boss?
Yeah,
What is the drive? Right.
so again, like actually here, like again, we need to take the role of like all these three people, because as a entrepreneur, of course, like you are your own boss, of course, so you are also the employee as well here. So you need to really like do both of these two things together, because as your own boss, like you don't have anyone above you. Of course, like the investors are always like above us, but of course, like you are your own boss, so you need to like you shouldn't rely on someone doing this task for you. So even if you have some employees, so even if you have already set up a business, you have like 2 people working under you. When you are trying to develop a new product, you should be on the field doing this. Like you of course you can, your employees can be with you, but you should be on the field doing this, because like it is your product, and this product is very vital for your business. So you should be on the field doing all of these activities, and as a boss, like you should also like kind of ensure like you did this in a very comprehensive, detailed, clear manner, and you gathered like all of these insights. You should also actively try to poke yourself. Like you should actively try
agree.
to wear the devil's advocate and try to like see where mistakes could have happened, like why this, why not that. Like you should also try to actively like poke your findings. You should try to actively invalidate all of your assumptions also. So that little bit of like negativity should also be there. It shouldn't be like, hey, I did it, like it's all positive, like it's a big market. So there should be some pessimism there as well, because it's kind of like addressing like all of these risks and making it a little bit of like foolproof. And then from the investor's perspective, you should also think, of course you identified something, but from the investor's perspective, it is all about money, right? So they will always think about, is the market big? Okay, like you found out a problem that is for a small set of people. So even if you build a product, maybe like 100 people will buy it, but not more than that. Then the investor may not be interested in it. So from the investor's perspective, you should also try to identify whether the market you are uh, building this product for is like very big, like how much revenue we can generate every year, like what could be the sales potential. So you need to also think about all of those business aspects, because only when you do the design thinking, like we haven't introduced any of the business aspects here. It is about empathizing, defining the problem, ideating, prototyping, testing it. That's it. We didn't speak about any business aspects here, but from the investor's perspective, we should also think about all of the all of the money aspects as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the idea flow will be I think very important if you work as a design engineer or maybe the product engineer, right? That will
Yeah,
be very important because you're
yeah,
thinking on behalf of the boss and you are thinking in the same way they understood.
yeah.
Okay, that's good. Any question from the floor before we get a group picture and we end these sections? And any questions? No? Okay. Could we switch on the camera all together? We take a group picture and then we end these sections as it's now 12:30, almost 1.5 hour. I think more than
Yeah, I
one and a
think
half hour.
everyone
Yeah.
are already starting to feel hungry for
No,
lunch.
it's a fasting month, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
yes,
the
yes,
fasting
yes.
month, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Ramadan, right?
Okay, okay.
Any camera, please, right? Switch on the camera, right? Guys, please. Let's take picture together. Yes, switch on. Fahan, Azhar, siapa lagi? Fatin. Switch on camera. Ada, please. Okay, let me take pictures. Let me take pictures. Notepad. Okay, smile face. It's good. That's good. Then I'll take another one. How could I take more? Okay, I think that's good enough that we have a number of you. We have how many of us? We have 73. Some already agreed. Okay, thanks Dr. Arjun for willing to share the idea. I want to get your attention, all students, right, especially students, right? These are the very fundamental and very important concept, right? I think some of the parts, right, some of the idea are similar to what we are doing now, the research and the project that we are doing, and in the futures, right? And the same concept, right? The same concept will be very important in the industry, that you are presenting your idea, thinking in the same way, that in the shoes of your customer, in the shoe of your boss, right? That they like the idea, and because you think about them, right? I think this is very important, right? Okay, thank you, Dr. Arjun, for sharing. That is for today. We are going to have another session next week. We are looking
Yes.
forward. And then after that, we have, I think we have this Hari Raya, we have this
Yeah.
Ramadan, and then 2 weeks after that, we follow the schedule.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Arjun.
all. See you all
Have
next
a
week.
nice day.
Yeah.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, yeah. And all students, please refer to the chat box. Please fill in the attendance form. Do not share in WhatsApp. Well, I don't want you to share to the WhatsApp group that and share with others that they didn't attend the lecture series, but they are in the list, right? Do not do that. Right? Please do not share with a friend, right, who did not turn up in this lecture series, right? Please fill in. Let me see. Okay, I see a number of responses. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, everybody. You may leave the box at the MS team now. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye. Done. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Tashari. Bye-bye. Cheers.